Morning dear students, as yesterday we have discussed about the Ellingham diagram. Now let's see what are the limitations of Ellingham diagram. The first limitation is that with the help of Ellingham diagram we are able to choose a particular or suitable reducing agent for a metal oxide at a particular temperature. But with the help of Ellingham diagram, we can't tell the kinetics of the reduction process. It is not able to tell us the rate of reaction, whether the reaction will be slow or fast, or you may say how fast the reaction is, you would not be able to tell. The next limitation of Ellingham diagram is, as we have studied in class 11th in thermodynamics and in equilibrium chapter, that del G naught is also based on equilibrium constant and they are interrelated with each other, like del G naught is equal to minus RT ln K. It means in the Ellingham diagram it is being assumed that reactants and products are in equilibrium. Like metal oxide, when react with a reducing agent, it form metal and that reducing agent's oxide. But it is not always true for all the reactions that we have discussed in the Ellingham diagram. So these are two limitations of the Ellingham diagram. Now let's see the reducing nature of carbon separately in the Ellingham diagram. So as we have already studied that in pyrometallurgy, if we are using carbon as a reducing agent, then it is termed as smelting process. And there are three possibilities if we are using carbon as a reducing agent. The three possibilities are that carbon react with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. The second possibility is carbon may form carbon monoxide, and the third possibility is that formed carbon monoxide oxidized to give carbon dioxide. So we are having these three curves with the help of which we can select the suitable reducing agent for a particular metal oxide. Now let's discuss the three one by one. So for the first reaction, in which carbon oxidized to form carbon dioxide. In this case, we hardly observe any change in the entropy. It means del S naught would be equal to 0. And if del S naught would be equal to 0, it means there would be no change in the value of del G naught. It means it will remain same with the increase in temperature. That we are able to see with the help of graph also. C plus O2 gives CO2. In this case, we are able to see that it is independent of temperature. It is a straight line. It means it is independent of, and the straight line is parallel to the x-axis. So it is independent to the temperature. There is no change in the value of del G naught. Here we are having the graph between del G naught and temperature. So it would be constant. The next is carbon oxidized to form carbon monoxide. In the case, as we are able to see, the value of del G naught is going to be more negative. Here we are able to see from around 250 it arises, and if we will plot a dotted line here, so it would be approx minus 800. Means the value of del G naught in negative is increasing. So it is becoming more negative. And here in the case we observe that the del S naught would be positive. Means there would be increase in the randomness. So if the value of del S naught would be positive, so on increasing temperature, the positive value would be increased, and it means T del S is the negative term, it means the value of del G naught would be more negative. Here, as we are able to see that if del S is positive, so T del S would be more positive on increasing temperature. It means that is a negative value, means we can say that del G would be more negative in the case. The next thing is, third reaction is carbon monoxide oxidized to form carbon dioxide. Here we are able to see that del S naught's value is in negative. Both were gaseous in the gaseous state. Now here we are getting the product in the gaseous state. So randomness must be a bit decreased. It means it would be in negative. And if it would be in negative, so on increasing temperature, T del S would be more negative. It means the value of del G would be less negative on increasing temperature. So here we are able to see all the three graphs. Here in this case it is more negative. In this case, from carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide, it is less negative, from more to less. And in this one there is no change in the value of del G naught. So here we can say that this is the intersect point, and I have mentioned it as 673 Kelvin, as you able to see. So at 673 Kelvin onwards, we may say that the carbon would be the suitable reducing agent for any metal oxide when it oxidizes itself in the form of carbon monoxide, because we select the suitable reducing agent on the basis of more negative value of del G naught. So after 673, because before 673 it is having the least negative value of del G naught, while afterward it is having the most negative value of del G naught. So it can be understood by the curve that above 673, reaction 2 means carbon to carbon monoxide is most suitable, that is it can reduce any metal oxide at high temperature and itself oxidize to form carbon monoxide. But the reduction with carbon is not preferred in all the cases due to these three reasons. As it is very expensive, means due to its high cost. Second one, there are some metals which on high temperature react with carbon to form carbide. In place of get reduced, they form carbide and carbon monoxide would not form. The third one is, as we have seen in the graph, that at high temperature any of the metal oxide can get reduced with the help of, most of the metal oxide can be reduced with the help of carbon. So the maintenance of high temperature is quite difficult. Now dear students, we will study the metallurgy of iron first. So let's see the thermodynamic point of view with the help of the Ellingham diagram in case of metallurgy of iron. So here are three graphs that are interrelated to the reduction of iron oxide to the iron. As we are able to see here, three graphs are there. In one case, carbon is oxidized to form carbon monoxide, in other carbon monoxide oxidized to give carbon dioxide, and the third one is the formation of iron oxide. As here we are able to see, and I have already told you yesterday also, that in Ellingham diagram the metal that is below any of the graph or lower in the graph can reduce the metal oxide that is above it. So in the case also we are able to see that this is the graph for iron to iron oxide. Means if I am to reduce the iron oxide, I have to select that reducing agent that is below this graph. Here below 1073 Kelvin, because the intersection point is 1073 Kelvin. Below this particular temperature, this graph, carbon to carbon monoxide, is having less negative value of del G naught to the iron oxide graph, while carbon monoxide is having more negative value, as we are able to see here. That's why below 1073 Kelvin, carbon monoxide must be a suitable reducing agent for the iron oxide reduction to iron. While as we are able to see after 103 Kelvin, now the graph of carbon to carbon monoxide is lower than that of iron to iron oxide. It means now above 1073 Kelvin, we must take carbon as a suitable reducing agent. So these two reactions would be possible, would be feasible, as in this case, when we are taking the temperature greater than 1073, we must use carbon as a reducing agent. It would be giving the more negative value of del G naught, while below 1073 Kelvin, we must use carbon monoxide to reduce iron oxide to iron. So that is the thermodynamic point of view, or the selection of a suitable reducing agent in case of metallurgy of iron, that we'll discuss when I'll told you tomorrow the metallurgy of iron, in which in the smelting process we discuss that how to maintain the temperature in the furnace and how to get the carbon or carbon monoxide as a reducing agent. Thank you.